So the Derek Chauvin trial, I think that was about one man. The Derek Chauvin verdict was about a nation and its criminal justice system. Like the entire country, I was on pins and needles, moments ahead of the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial. Now, I didn't watch any of the proceedings. I could not deal with the pain of those that felt helpless watching a fellow human being killed in broad daylight by someone who took an oath to serve and protect. I watched the verdict because while I feel that the case, or felt like the case, was clearly open and shut, you just never know what's going on in the mind of jurors. And I've watched, because a whole lot of these events in the past, these verdicts that I also thought were open and shut, came in differently. Now, toggling the TV dial before and after to see the different coverage, I was struck by so many incorrect observations and comments. There were two opposite narratives that I think were completely wrong. One, that racism no longer exists, and on the other hand, that black Americans are living in a deep state of constant fear of the police. Racism is alive, but it's not, of course, Jim Crow or KKK sitting in the back of a bus or living a separate but unequal life. In fact, I celebrate how far this nation has come in such a very short period of time. Really, it is magnificent when you look at still unresolved challenges around the world that have lingered for thousands of years. I am amazed at changes that have already happened in my own lifetime. But yeah, far too often, skin color negatively tilts narratives and outcomes. There's still work to be done. And listen, every time there's any sort of racism that happens around me, I'm going to push back. But here's the thing. At the same token, I will also call out false efforts to leverage the past to push ideologies that have nothing to do with historic suffering or current challenges. I got to tell you, yesterday I cringed when I saw Al Sharpton strutting to a private plane to fly into Minneapolis. So many people have made millions of dollars stoking the flames of anger. They never present a smart game plan to win greater equality, just vitriol that leads to burning cities while they shake down big corporations. And by the way, these corporations write checks, but they hire few black people and promote even less. Meanwhile, black Americans are not living in a state of siege from police, and we should avoid being manipulated into living into a state of perpetual victimhood. Yes, there is unfairness in many workplaces. A black family can be seated at a restaurant and be served long after a white family that came in later. A black man can go into a bank to deposit money and have the manager threaten to call the police when he voices displeasure about poor service or treatment. I mean, you could go on a job interview and not get the gig because your hairstyle is braided in a certain way or even braided at all. Now, these things are real, but they cannot change. They can change because the more egregious, painful actions that have been relegated to the dustbin in the history are just night and day from these things. You know, I disagree with Vice President Harris when she said that yesterday's verdict won't heal generations of pain. I think it was a monumental verdict that allows more people to trust the legal system. And if allowing it to work, that would help the healing process if people would allow it to work. But sadly, Vice President Harris and so many others just won't allow our pain to heal. I mean, I don't think they can afford to allow it to heal. You know, there's an ideological agenda that must be fulfilled. Now, the items on this agenda are tough sells on their own merit, but behind the veneer of social justice, well, they become easier. Let me just say, as a black man, there is no other country I would rather live than America. I was blessed to be born here, and it is my great hope and belief that we will all keep getting better. And it's not an unfounded hope. It's written in the words that are the foundation of this nation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We'll be right back.